Want to see two big men with big chests. And big muscles. Bumping meat. That's why I'm here. That's why I watched wrestling as a kid. You want your 5-star matches? You want your 30-minute classics? Not me. Big meaty men slapping meat. I'll wrap it up.
Hello and welcome back to Afterglow, episode 55, and this is the end of Big Meaty Men Slappin' Meat in March. At least for 2024. Maybe we'll do it again next year, I don't know. But this episode will go a little long, because there's quite a bit that I kind of want to cover with the game for this episode, and on top of that, there's a lot of extras that I want to check out. And finally, we're kind of just celebrating the end of an entire month of talking wrestling games. That being said, I do want to reach out to Soups and B-Rob one more time, thanking them for them coming in for the Retro Wrestling Game Tournament. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. That was an awesome episode. I think it's probably one of the best episodes I've ever put out for Afterglow. So I gotta give them a shout out because they're the ones that really made it happen. Go back and listen to it. But for now, for the most part, every game that I covered this month was, in my opinion, a good game, or a game that I got a lot of enjoyment out of. WrestleFest I loved. Saturday Night Slam Masters was awesome. WCW vs. World had some solid gameplay. And Raw is a nostalgic favorite of mine. Nitro is an interesting one, because I wouldn't exactly call it awful, although a lot of other people would. I wouldn't call it a good wrestling game, though. But it does have a lot of heart and soul. It's one of those weird games where, no, it's definitely not a great wrestling game, but a lot of love was put into it. And you can tell that the developers had a blast making the game. So we're going to go all over my personal memories of that game after our music break.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gene Okerlund, and I'd like to welcome you to WCW Nitro.
Yep, I don't care who you are. The original intro for Monday Night Nitro was awesome, and this game played it through the menus for the game. And I loved this original intro for Nitro. Whenever they swapped it out for that weird, bassy punk... It's not really punk. I don't know how to describe it. Techno, maybe? I don't know. It was a horrible intro. They should have just kept the original because it was just a slamming intro. But, going back to this game, the first time I played it was on a demo disc. I believe it was on the official PlayStation Magazine disc. Back in the day, whenever magazines were a thing, you would get discs with the magazines a lot of times, and the disc would have a few game demos on it, where you could play a little tiny chunk of the game, and it was really, really awesome. It's something I kind of miss in the modern era. There's not much of a need for it anymore. A lot of games to get the demo, you can just, download your demo. But back then, the internet being, a much smaller and slower thing. You only had at best 56K dial-up. If you wanted to play a game demo, the most efficient way was to get it on a disc. And I believe my version had Sting and Hogan, and I replayed that a lot. And those were like the only two characters I could choose. And I knew right away that the game, it had potential but had issues. It moved way too fast. Like, the gameplay was not like at a wrestling video game pace. It was incredibly fast-paced, to the point to where you could kind of struggle to keep up in a way. But it was still fun, especially if you played a little bit of it two-player. Fun enough to where whenever I came across it in a pawn shop, it was like dirt cheap. It was like $1, maybe $2. I did go ahead and pick it up. I did contemplate it, even at that price, because it was missing the cover for the game. It was in a jewel case, but it was literally only the disc and the back cover. Back then on the PlayStation 1 games, the front cover also doubled as a game manual. It was a little booklet that you would pull out. And I was kind of anal about my PlayStation games. I wanted the complete game with the disc and the case and all of the paperwork, like the manual and everything. Kind of got that with the Sega Genesis with those nice clamshell cases. I started wanting to hold on to all that stuff. But for the price, it was definitely worth picking up and checking out. So, got the game, brought it home, and differences from the demo is a lot of the full motion stuff, the full motion video that wasn't in the demo is, of course, present in the full game. So you get the video opening, much like the video opening you got in WCW vs. the World, a little updated for the time. Now, at the time this game came out, Nitro was still beating the WWF in ratings. It was about to lose here at the tail end of it, but at the time, it was still winning. And that was, again, really cool, seeing, that live-action footage. Like, back then, it was a cool thing to see. These days, whatever, you're on YouTube, watch whatever you want. Back then, just getting those little snippets was a really cool touch. But then you get to the character select menu, and you see a button for them to rant. And this is really cool, because more or less, the wrestlers, at least the main wrestlers in the game, all cut a promo, trying to get you to pick them for the most part. It was awesome and hilarious at the same time. And I can't pay it any more better homage than I'm going to put all the promos in here for y'all to listen to right now. It's not very long. I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes worth of promos, but to me at least it's the best part of the game. And I know that don't say much because it's like we are not even to the game yet, but the production value for this game and the way it was presented was amazing, and you could tell the developers had a lot of fun making this. The gameplay itself wasn't so hot, but dear God, it put you in the mood to watch some WCW, and specifically some Nitro. So let's listen to all of these wrestler rants.
Brother, you think you got what it takes to beat Hollywood Hogan? Why don't you climb in the ring and try out the largest arms in the world? Hollywood style.
Technical wrestler, high flyer, brawler. It don't matter what you consider yourself to be. When you're in the ring with the crippler, you're a loser.
You think you got the courage to step in the ring? I think you're gonna wind up with a snap neck from the choke slam.
If you want to wrestle an inch more Ric Flair, you gotta be able to walk that aisle and style and profile. Woo!
You really think you're ready for the Stinger? You really think you're ready for the Scorpion Deathlock? You think you're ready for a fatal encounter?
Hey there! How'd you like to get power bombed? Come on, pick me. I'm begging you, pick me. Please pick me. Yo, Chico, you selected Scott Hall? Get ready for a wild ride on the outside.
This is why they call me the total package. Do you have a pain threshold to withstand the torture rack? Let's find out.
Hallo, hier ist Alex Wright. Wenn ihr High-Flying Wrestling Action wollt, den Spinning Sidekick, den Top Turnbuckle Dropkick, dann nehmt mich und der Sieg ist euch sicher. Ich verspreche euch.
This is Booker T from Harlem Heat, hardcore OG brother from 110th Street. If any of you punks got the guts to step up to the plate, push the button.
Hey, all you suckers out there, you wanna play the game? You wanna play with the big boys? Put your finger on the button, cause when you go down 110th Street, it's gonna be on like neck bone, sucker.
Ooh, yeah! Watch the flying elbow drop off the top rope. Not only beat people 1, 2, 3, but I hurt them real bad.
It only takes one of 1,000 holds to defeat you. If you think you're man enough for the challenge, step in the ring.
Hey, monkey boy. Like there's a choice here? Good God! Pick the man with the plan. Pick DDP.
Hey, anytime you feel froggy, man, I'll slap on the buzz killer and rip your shoulder right out of the socket. Wolfpack style.
You better be ready to wrestle, because you know, when you're getting in the ring with Eddie Guerrero, it's going to be high-flying and exciting.
All of those promos are absolutely fantastic, and it's kind of funny to listen to today, because you can even hear, like, almost like a fan going in the room where it was recorded at. I'm not saying my audio quality is the greatest in the world. Usually I slap on a headset to start recording. I do have like some Razer equipment, Razer cardioid mic, and I don't know whether it's considered, decent or not. But, man, like, they just absolutely nailed those promos for all those wrestlers. I wish I could throw in the video here for it, but they're all absolutely great to listen to. And that's, not even the entire roster selection. There's a bunch of, like, bonus extra wrestlers in here. You get alternate versions of Hulk Hogan and Sting. I think Nick Patrick is unlockable. One of the referees is either Nick Patrick or Pee Wee Anderson. Boy, those are names I'll take you back if you remember old school WCW. The game's developers are actually in here, which again is a sign to where they were having a blast making this game, even though it's not of the highest quality. Because, I mean, if you've got a game full of all these WCW wrestlers, you really, want to play with, the guy that coded the game. I'm not really there, but I think it is cool if they put themselves in there. But then you get into the game, and again, like I said earlier, the gameplay just moves way too fast, and all the wrestlers have the same moveset outside of their finisher, which can get a little crazy at times whenever you have smaller wrestlers like Chris Benoit powerbombing the Giant, which is, you obviously wouldn't see that in real life. If you don't know wrestling, more or less you've got a guy that's like, let's say he weighs 220. He is throwing out a powerbomb where he is lifting the guy, putting up on his shoulders, and then plowing him into the mat. And the Giant probably weighed every bit of like 500, 550. He was huge. So not going to happen in the real world. It was kind of fun seeing it in the game, but it was definitely not a realistic wrestling experience at all. That paired with the fact that the game moved too fast really hurt it. And the big one that hurt it for me, it didn't really follow like a lot of the usual wrestling rules. Instead of a 10 count, if you go outside the ring, you get a 20 count. That I can live with. What I was not a fan of was the match interference, which would happen all the time. You would be in the middle of a match, and another dude, or sometimes a chick, would run in there, and they'd start beating on you along with your opponent. And it's not a disqualification. Like, they can still outright just both of them tag team you, and it's tricky if you're not good at the game to take on two of them at once. But they can just destroy your health bar, pin you, and you lose. Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's an obvious disqualification in any regular wrestling match. And here we are, right? Outside of that, there's more or less for the campaign mode. You go through 10 matches. You win all 10 matches. You win the world title, and you're presented with more or less a full motion video of your wrestler with different scenes of him wrestling as a reward, which is kind of a cool thing. I was bummed by the fact that there's no ring entrances. you do get a loading screen with a wrestler that you're facing next thrown up on the screen as like a picture whenever it's loading. I guess you could kind of think of it as their entrance if you wanted to. That got fixed, I believe, in Thunder. You got a video of them making an entrance, which was a bit better. But yeah, the game, it can be fun, but it is not an accurate wrestling game at all. It's definitely a downgrade from WCW versus the World. That being said, it can still be fun. Again, if you don't have a huge game collection, this is one of those games that you own and play. It's enjoyable. And again, this is back in the era where you couldn't just go online and download every PlayStation game in existence. You had the games that you had. And this one, it's not the best wrestling game, but it's easily a fun game to play, especially if it's you and another player. Now, if you don't have the manual and you don't have a way of learning the moves and you gotta figure them all out on your own, which was my case, that can be kind of tricky as well. But overall, not a bad game. And it is one that I will occasionally go back to, mostly to listen to those wrestler rants, because they're amazing. I'll play a few matches and then I'll turn it off. Although for this episode, I did go through as Chris Benoit and ran through the game with him. And yeah, I know Chris Benoit, there's a bunch of controversy with him and how his life ended and everything. But at the time, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, so he would be the one I would pick all the time. I hate how his life ended, but at the time, dear God, he was an amazing wrestler. And I was a huge fan of him as a kid. Not as an adult, unfortunately, because we know what happened. If you don't know what happened and you're interested, you can look it up. I don't want to go into it in this because it's too much of a downer, and I want this to be, a cool episode. The final little bit of Big Meaty Men Slappin' Meetin' March. Wrestling games have always been a lot of fun. Just, the spectacle of wrestling, in a way. Seeing that get transformed into gaming and having yourself put in those shoes was always an amazing and fun experience. Whether the game was awesome and whether it was just okay, it was always fun, especially if you had a buddy to play with and to wrestle against or to form a tag team with. But that's going to be it for my review of WCW Nitro. I'm going to close it out with some music before we close out the episode, and maybe there'll be a little something extra at the end. We'll see. I love that track, but man, it has some Lars Ulrich Saint Anger levels of snare in it. Rock and roll, heavy metal joke for those who aren't aware. If you are aware, great. If not, hey, look it up. But that'll close out this episode of Afterglow, and that closes out Big Meaty Men Slappin' Meetin' March. I hope you enjoyed listening to all of the wrestling content this month, and hey, as of this recording, WrestleMania is coming up soon, so I can't wait for it. this has been a great ramp up to it. But thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all these. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed making them. So if you like listening to this show, check the show notes because there's a link to Discord down there to where you can join in to a Discord channel where me and a few other people are in there where we can talk about all these old games, and they'll give you a notification in one of the channels whenever I post a new episode. There's also a link to Patreon in there if you want to throw $1 a month at the show. You throw in $1 a month and I'll give you a shout out at the end of every episode. Also, be sure to check out friends of the show like Retro Gaming Roundup, which is one of the longest running gaming podcasts out there today. Secret Levels, they do usually one game per episode where they go over fun facts, the gameplay, the music. They might rage a little bit. You can also check out the Lost and Gone podcast starring Grim. Usually he goes over Lost and Forgotten media. Right now he's doing some different stuff. He did an interview with me on there where we go over our views on death, which was kind of cool. Very interesting seeing what he's got coming out in the future. Going back to my show, our logo and artwork's been done by TobyVonDoom from Secret Levels, and the intro and outro is done by Grim from the Lost and Gone podcast. Now, you've made it till the end of Big Meaty Men Slappin' Meetin' March, but we got one little final hidden thing for you if you've taken the time to listen all the way up to here. We're going to go back and talk about WCW Nitro for the PlayStation 1. The game had hidden credits. And I love the song that they played over the hidden credits. So I'm going to play that song now, and that'll close out this episode. I hope you guys laugh at this song as much as I did whenever I was a kid. And every time I go back and play this game, I find this song again, I just laugh because I love how silly this song is. So I hope you all enjoy it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of Afterglow.
Me.